turn 5. There used to be a chicane back there. It's now a sweeper, but the exit tightens up. That surprised a couple of drivers already so far. The end of that long back straight into turn 6, they've widened the approach from 4 lanes to 7. Lots of different lines to try some passing in to that tight 90. Turns 7 and 8, they've widened that by 20 feet, again, to enhance passing. But perhaps the most significant and important change was done for safety and driver confidence. If you look over my shoulder, there's that pillar right over there with the tires in front of it. Last year, that bisected the track. As the drivers would approach it at some 200 kph, if you stayed right, you'd brake going to pit lane. But if you were going to finish your lap, you'd aim at that pillar, dive to the left of it, and then exit out very close to the pit wall, the concrete here. Very scary. What they've done this year is they put in a dogleg. It goes left-right. You get rid of speed, and you do it sooner. It dogleg jogs you to the left of that pillar. Then you accelerate all the way through the final turn. It's much more confidence-inspiring, and you get through it cleaner. And if you get that dogleg right and the guy in front of you bobbles, that big new wide passing area down in turn 1, it's beckoning.
And Greg, the track is already beckoning the drivers out for qualifying with Jill DeFer. And Jill, you've been out there already. You've seen the changes. What do you think so far?
I think the changes are positive. Certainly address the concerns we had over the last turn here, and they changed the chicane there at the back, so hopefully to improve overtaking opportunities in the end of the long straight. You know, that made quite a difficult turn there, and but it's okay.
What's your sense of your plan for qualifying right now?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What's your plan for qualifying right now? What's the strategy?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll go out there and do the best we can. We hope to qualify in the top 2 rows.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Brian?
Thank you, Tom. That's Gilles DeFer, and he'll drive for Roger Penske next year. There is Juan Montoya's car. Up next, if you're a mechanic, hey, there are a lot of jobs available. The help wanted signs are out for the IndyCar circuit.
Life's cool, so is dry. I'm on your left, you're on my right. You think I'll fall in love with you tonight? Cause love with you just feels right.
Whatever will be.
I need you to be with me, so put your hands down and see what I see. If you wanna have fun, just follow me. Whatever will be.
Life is cool, so is dry. Molson Dry.
He's in the garage.
Hey!
If you're going to have a garage, have a garage. And if you're going to use an oil, use an oil. Pennzoil with Pure Base, specially formulated for stop-and-go driving.
Like what I've done with the place? Hey, what does this do? Well, that opens up the roof so I can airlift anything in or out of the garage.
Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
Only one compact pickup ranked best in initial quality in the U.S. by J.D. Power and Associates, and also won Strategic Vision's Best in Total Quality Award. The 1999 Dodge Dakota, the largest, most powerful truck in its class, is also highest in quality, which explains why it's now Canada's #1 selling pickup in its class. Ride with the leader, the 1999 award-winning Dakota from Dodge.
On September 10th, the Relais des Entreprises invites you and your company to take part in a triathlon. It's a fun team event, and all the proceeds go to St. Mary's and Rosemont hospitals.
You can bike, swim, or run, whichever sport you prefer.
So, come compete with us and join in on the fun.
We formed a team.
So why don't you?
Join us on September 10th. All right, Bob, here you go!
Molson Indy, Vancouver on CBC. Brought to you by Molson Export. X says it all since 1903. By Dodge, proud automotive sponsor of the Molson Indy, Vancouver. And by Pennzoil with Pure Base, made for the way you drive. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
And on this Saturday afternoon, back live in Vancouver, still to come highlights from final qualifying held earlier today here in Vancouver. Well, yesterday, players announced that 3 young drivers will compete for the position held by Greg Moore. He's moving to Roger Penske with Gilles de Ferran at the end of the season. Now, there are plenty of young aspiring drivers, not so with another vital component of auto racing. There's a shortage, and with more on that, once again, here is CBC's Tom Harrington.
A rocket launcher in a kart paddock? Not a stretch for the crewmen who spend hours a day building and rebuilding these land rockets of motor racing. But just like the Army, kart needs new recruits today more than ever.
There's just not a lot of qualified people out there to, just say, if somebody was to replace me, they have to be able to work on the car, change the tires, and, take care of everything that I know about. And so, but if there isn't that person to do that, then we've taken a step down.
We're experiencing the same problems with people that other teams in the kart championship series are, in that we have more events to do, we have more tests to do, and because of that, and having people that are fresh and willing to come to work every day and happy about the fact they're doing it, and they're not driven into the ground by the schedule, we need people, we need quality people, and we just don't have enough people.
There are plenty of jobs to go around a typical kart team, and the money's not bad. $100,000 is the average for a chief engineer, $60,000 for a chief mechanic. It's the cost of the personal life that scares many away.
For example, I'm married. It's very tough on your marriage because you're on the road all the time, and you've got the family life, you're away from home a lot, and you really basically don't have any life at all except your racing.
It's also an issue of supply and demand. Whether it's kart, IRL, or NASCAR, the popularity of racing is giving prospective mechanics many options.
People have an option as to where they can go race. It used to be that a guy maybe he just wanted to go racing and he took the first job, but now he can be a bit more selective about where he works and what kind of championship series he works in, so it's more difficult these days.
Chip Ganassi's team has decided to develop its own talent, and for Jerry Thompson, that provided the opportunity of a lifetime.
There are a lot of teams that hire people with experience only. I was fortunate enough to come into this program as a truck driver with literally no professional experience and get my foot in the door and work hard and move up. A lot of teams won't do that.
We decided we would undertake what we call an apprentice program. The first year we brought 2 people in, the next year 3, the next year 4, and now it's 6 people. And we put them with our sub-assembly manager. They work in the shop, and we rotate them to the race team and the test team also, so that they get hands-on experience both in the workshop as well as the racetrack. And hopefully by the year's end, we'll have some guys out of that group that will stay with us and will grow with the team.
The mechanics as a group are also trying an innovative approach to address the crewman shortage. A school has been established in Indianapolis to attract and train the next wave of mechanics, and the first prerequisite will be desire.
Basically what we're doing is we're going to take students in, and we're going to do a huge background check for them to see if they're really interested in doing the thing, and then we just take them through everything, absolutely everything. Everything that they want to learn, we'll teach them that.
It is hot, hard, unheralded work, and it's not for everyone. But if you love the smell of the grease and the roar of the crowd, as the saying goes, there's no life like it.
Start, at the bottom. Just get in there and wrench with somebody. That's the biggest thing, is getting experience, getting to know people. Once you get around and people see you're willing to do this for free, they're going to know that your heart's in the right place and that you could do it professionally.
Speaking of doing it, this is a very busy area this weekend. The Pacific National Exhibition, the P&E's in full swing. You've got the Air Canada PGA Golf Tournament at Northview and nearby Surrey. This weekend, and this event gets bigger and better every year, the Molson Indy Vancouver will draw in excess of 150,000 for this weekend. It is more than a race, as we hear from the general manager of the Molson Indy Vancouver, Stuart Ballantyne.
The Drivers' Party is obviously a big entertainment venue. We want to get the drivers in a bit of a social setting, raise some money for juvenile diabetes, and just have a great night and celebrate the kickoff of the 10th anniversary. we always say see it live. If they've never been to a car race, that's certainly the major thing that we're doing here. And people get a whole different perspective of car racing when they come and see it live. But there's a lot of things that they're going to do. They're going to get to see some bands. They're going to get to see some celebrities, the drivers themselves, which we feel are probably the biggest celebrities here the weekend. And there's a lot of them, about 200 drivers here. Certainly celebrating our 10th anniversary. We've had a Indy festival all week, from Greg Moore's Pro-Am golf tournament right through to a rollerblade event here on the circuit, and show and shine. We had an outdoor expo with custom cars and hot rods, and just going on and on. Well, we've always said that the Molson Indy is a lot more than just a race. It's an event, it's a happening. We've added the Molson Extreme Party Barge, and I think people are having a good time on that. It's pretty early in the morning, but they're having a good time.
Well, certainly no time to party for the drivers here on the West Coast. Up next, we'll hear from the man they call Mad Max, Max Pappas, who drives for the veteran Bobby Rahal. Back in Vancouver after this.
For these vehicles and yours. That's the Mopar difference.
Today's beer since 1903.
The world's deadliest weapon has just been handed off.
Where is it?
To a short order cook and an ice cream delivery man.
Need your ice cream truck.
You are not taking my truck. How far you got to go?
Kill him now. This fall, action is being served on the rocks with a twist.
You hijacked me with an empty gun? When this is all over, remind me to kick your...
Cuba Gooding Jr., Skeet Ulrich,
Whoa!
Chill Factor.
Don't move. Shoot me.
Now playing at a theater near you.
Until September 20th, subscribe to any Fido monthly airtime package, and for just $50 after rebate, you'll receive a Nokia 5190 handset, plus a nifty Fido bag absolutely free. And that's no joke.
One day, you may have to buy or sell a vehicle. So remember this. Both these cars seem to be in good condition. This one was treated with Metropolitan rust proofing. This one wasn't. Without an efficient annual treatment, humidity and abrasives build up, then rust sets in without warning and slyly corrodes your car from the inside. Metropolitan rust proofing stalls rust formation and neutralizes its development. So rush before it rusts.
All of us at Sunday Report are aware of being there on the stories of the moment.
Allison Smith.
We can also perhaps foreshadow where some of those stories are going to go, give you a sense of where the news stories are going to develop over the course of the next week.
Sunday Report on CBC. At the end of the day, you want the facts.
Good evening.
The most comprehensive news hour on Canadian television.
I don't think anyone thought it could ever happen here.
The National. An hour a night. A day in perspective.
Those Twin Peaks are known as the Lions, part of the coastal mountain range overlooking downtown Vancouver. A lot of people, in particular people from the east, think the Rocky Mountains overlook Vancouver. Not so. It's the coastal mountain range. The Rockies are far east of here, near the Alberta border. As a driver, Bobby Rahal won a total of 24 races. Now, knowing how to win and how to choose a winning driver don't necessarily go, shall we say, hand in glove. The new driver for Team Rahal this year is Max Pappas, last year's most improved driver. Rahal believes Pappas will win on the kart circuit.
Max Pappas has been oh so close to victory, so he knows what it would mean.
It's a lot of years of pushing hard, of sacrificing, of willing to win. And that moment, that second when you start the cross-finish line first, it's only yours. You know, it belongs to you and belongs to all the people that helped as well to build that.
Max Pappas is going to see an incredible sight next time around. The white flag will tell him just 2 miles, 1 lap to go.
Last race in Chicago, Pappas earned his first pole. But the 29-year-old from Italy will never come closer to the checkered flag than he did at Michigan. He led the final lap. He was 2 miles from victory.
Will Max Pappas become the 3rd first-time winner this year? It sure looks that way. He runs out of fuel. He runs out of fuel. Come on, scream fast. Come on, scream.
I think Michigan was a fantastic day for us. You know, we ran very, very strong. We were very competitive. And, you know, that's how the sport is, you know. Like, we went so close to achieve my first ever win. And we couldn't really make it, but that's gone. You know, I'm looking for at the positive side of it. You know, we were very competitive, very fast all weekend, and you know, I know that the win will come.
Team owner Bobby Rahal needed to replace himself as lead driver this season. He surprised everyone by choosing the animated Pappas, who drove 3 years for our Sierra Wells.
Having Bobby with me means a lot, because not only provided me, you know, with Ford engine and a good group of people, but the most important thing is that he's there with me. He's my friend, he's my suggester, and I'm sure that my first win will be like his first win. He's there with his heart with me, and that's what it counts for me.
If the guy doesn't run right up front all the time, they say, oh, well, he must not be a very good driver, but equipment plays such a huge role in your performance as a driver that, you know, I felt just by seeing him in these different situations that he was the kind of guy that, you know, would do well with us. So we got together, and I have to say he's lived up to our expectations so far.
When Pappas joined Team Rahal, he was replacing a living legend. But when he first drove in kart, he was taking the place of the late Jeff Krosnoff. He was killed in Toronto back in 1996.
I feel that going on and trying to win races, I'm carrying on his will to succeed. And I think about him a lot of time. I think about him, you know, every time, you know, even when we went this year back in Toronto, you know, I'm a man with feelings. So I think that Jeff's moment was a very unfortunate one in life, not only motor racing, but he built his life around very solid values. And I have solid values as well that comes from my family. And I think that my first win and good succeeding this year with the Miller car, it's kind of perpetuating and keep going on the dream of other people as well. So I keep fighting very hard for that.
All right, Bobby Unser, as promised, highlights from qualifying for this Molson Indy Vancouver. Qualifying held earlier today here in the West Coast. Before we go to the videotape, let me just explain there were 2 sessions, a slow and a fast session. We'll concentrate on the fast session, but there were 2 great Canadian stories in the first slower session. Paul Tracy has had an unbelievable weekend so far. Here's Tracy in the slower session. Now, Tracy was second fastest yesterday to his teammate Dario Franchitti, but the sides of his car were too low. He had an aerodynamic advantage when they measured it after the run. He was disqualified, sent to the back. Here he is from the slower session today, turning in an unbelievable lap of 1 minute, 0.913 seconds.
You know, they didn't know yesterday that today was going to be so cloudy and a lot cooler. He had a perfect day, and look at him. He's a man on a mission. That's a determined mind, especially when they disqualified his day before qualifying.
Paul Tracy, now living in Las Vegas, has 1 victory, 14 career victories, 1 victory this year. That was on that short oval that you know well. You've raced on in Milwaukee. Here's the end of the straightaway. End of the straightaway. They hit on that straightaway speeds of 190 miles per hour, over 300 kilometers per hour. Big crowd here today as he now comes up He'll make a left-hand turn. He'll go by the Science Center, and then that final turn that has been changed and slowed somewhat from last year. But this is his remarkable lap from earlier today.
You can just see he's hanging that thing. Look at him wiggle. You know, we just sit here and watch that, and we just say, wow, that guy is really on a mission. And he is, and he did really good.
Paul Tracy, at just over 1 minute flat, at that point had the provisional pull. His teammate Franchitti had dropped to second place, Moreno third, Moore fourth, and Gilles de Ferran sixth. But there was another Canadian that shone in the first session today, and that is young Patrick Carpentier. As we look at Paul Tracy, Carpentier would turn in the third fastest time. Here's Carpentier, Greg Moore's teammate, and he's driven very well here this weekend.
Oh, he's really looking good. We saw a qualifying attempt with him that, or not an attempt, but an actual qualifying run that was extraordinarily good.
There's the MCI WorldCom car, or Serio Wells Racing. That is Scott Pruitt, who has had success here in the past. But the stories in the first slow session today were the two Canadians, Paul Tracy, who was fastest, and Patrick Carpentier, who was second fastest.
I think that's a pretty car. Look at the paint job on that car. Isn't that pretty, Brian? Look at that.
If you say so. At that point, Scott Pruitt had moved up to 8th place. So as the slower session wound down this morning, it was Paul Tracy, the leader, followed by Dario Franchitti from yesterday, Patrick Carpentier third, Moreno fourth, Moore fifth, de Ferran sixth, Montoya seventh, Pruitt eighth, Blundell 9th, and Gugelin 10th. Scott Pruitt driving in the slower session this morning. And Pruitt at this time, Bobby, moving well into the top 10, but it would not hold.
Everybody this morning went faster. Just watch Scott working. He's really close to the wall, really close to the wall there. Outside there. I mean, the guys really worked today. It was cooler. The track was cool. The tires are sticky. Look, whoa, over one curve, over the next curve, there. That wall right there. Watch this all day. A lot of guys touch that wall.
Scott Pruitt with 2 career victories. And there's Carpentier coming across to post the second fastest time in that session, the third fastest overall. Pruitt with 2 career victories. The latest was in Australia 2 years ago. So again, this was the slower session this morning. Patrick Carpentier would be second to Paul Tracy. Overall, he would be third. Franchitti's time from yesterday held up for second fastest. And, well, there's Tracy, as we've seen him so often, going off the course. But he had a rather uneventful, at least for Tracy, session here this morning.
He was. We have to laugh at that because we know it's going to happen with Paul. But in spite of that, he is so upset because they disqualified his day before time. Here he is coming down into turn number 6. That's the end of the long straightaway. And he just couldn't get stopped. He didn't know whether to attempt the turn or whether to take the runoff deal right there. There he is coming down there. Look at that.
Paul Tracy, in the slower session, would temporarily take the pole, followed by Franchitti and Carpentier back with a Molson Indy after this.
He's in the garage.
Hey!
If you're going to have a garage, have a garage. And if you're going to use an oil, use an oil. Pennzoil with Pure Base, specially formulated for stop-and-go driving.
Like what I've done with the place? Hey, what does this do? Well, that opens up the roof so I can airlift anything in or out of the garage.
Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
Life is cool, so is dry. I'm on your left, you're on my right. Think I'll fall in love with you tonight. Cause love with you just feels right.
Whatever will be, will be.
I need you to be with me. Come put your head down and see what I see. If you wanna have fun, just follow me. Whatever will be, will be.
Life is cool, so is dry. Molson Dry.
Introducing Vector, a new source of energy. It's not a cereal, it's a meal replacement. And like others, it's engineered to give your body 16 micronutrients it needs and taste great. Vector from Kellogg. Fuel up.
One day, you may have to buy or sell a vehicle. So remember this. Both these cars seem to be in good condition. This one was treated with Metropolitan rust proofing. This one wasn't. Without an efficient annual treatment, humidity and abrasives build up. Then rust sets in without warning and slyly corrodes your car from the inside. Metropolitan rust proofing stops rust formation and neutralizes its development. So rush before it rusts.
And on this Saturday afternoon, as we're back live in Vancouver, look at the False Creek area of downtown Vancouver. We're covering final qualifying for the 10th Molson Indy Vancouver. Let's go to the fastest session, and here is Dario Franchitti. Franchitti, the Scotsman, the winner in Toronto and defending champion here in Vancouver, actually won the pole and won the race 1 year ago here in Vancouver. Now, let me set the scene again. At this point, Franchitti was second fastest. That was based on his time yesterday. His teammate, Paul Tracy, had gone out in the slower session, and Bobby, at this point, Paul Tracy was sitting on the pole, and Franchitti was stunned by that time turned in by Tracy.
He certainly was, and I just want to mention real quick, Franchitti's car right there, and Tracy's car looked the same. And Franchitti's looking for that red dot on the front, because we're going to see a lot of them today and tomorrow. But Franchitti is warming up right now for a fast lap. This guy is the guy that's a superstar on this type of racetrack. Look at him jump the curb. Now that's coming in just, whoa, he hit the wall. Now just a little while ago I told you, there's the wall, a lot of guys will hit. Now watch him go into this corner.
Now, after hitting the wall, he bends the tire, and look what happens.
He hit the wall, bends, look at the right rear tire on your left there. That's pointing out. He doesn't know it after he hit the wall. It didn't fall off. It just bent. So he spun it out. He's parked there. Sad thing to be happening. Too early, really, for him.
Early in the second session today, and this was bad news for Franchitti because he knew the time turned in by Tracy, and you wondered, Bobby, whether he'd have time or not to fix the car.
Right, and he still doesn't know it's bent. He knows that something is wrong. He still doesn't know it might have a flat tire. Now watch this, as he's coming out, he's too wide. Look at the right rear, boom. Now watch it when it bent right there. Now, the tire is towed out. And when he goes into the next turn, look at the tire hitting outward, so it steers the rear end of the car around to the right, around he goes. He's still driving it. He doesn't know what's wrong with it, but he knows there's something wrong. So he goes to the pits, and they start working on it.
So Dario Franchitti, at this point, still standing in second place behind his teammate, Paul Tracy. Tracy looking on in the pits, and at this point, Paul Tracy was on the pole, followed by Franchitti, Carpentier, Moreno. Moore was fifth, DeFerrin sixth, Montoya seventh, Pruitt eighth, Blundell ninth, and Gougeau in 10th.
Yes, and you can look at Tracy's face. Kind of happy, because, man, that Franchitti is tough, especially on this type of a course. This is a Franchitti type of racetrack. We got to know that going into the qualifying today.
Here's Tony Kanaan, winner at the Michigan 500 when Max Pappas ran out of gas. Now, at this point, Kanaan was running only 16th fastest.
Well, he's 16th.
There's Montoya, excuse me, Bobby. Montoya at this point running 7th fastest.
That's Kanaan on the left, Montoya right there in the red car behind, so everybody knows it's at the other end of the track, 7 and 8 turn. There's Kanaan coming out. They come out really close to the wall there. I'm going to explain some of the track occasionally as we go around. But now both of these cars, Kanaan and Montoya, are not quite up to speed. Now they're getting their tires warmed up because the track is 40 degrees cooler today than it was yesterday. It's important to know this. 40 degrees difference in the track temperature.
40 degrees Fahrenheit as Kanaan crosses the start-finish line. Not good enough to move him up. He was still running in 16th place. Now, Max Pappas had just gone up to 7th. Michael Andretti has just moved up to 8th fastest. So that drops Montoya down to 9th. And it drops Greg Moore down further in the standings as we look at Tony Kanaan, who lives in Miami, born in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Here's this great straightaway, Bobby, and here's where they've widened it at the end. But you say that wasn't the problem. This was the problem.
Yeah, look how close he comes coming off. Now, there's where the problem is. Wider going in, still tight coming off. but the racetrack is so much better than it was last year. We hear no driver complaints so far. Now, normally we don't get those complaints till tomorrow anyway. Look how hard Kanan is working. You can watch the cars and tell the guys are warming up or if they're trying hard by how much the cars are dancing around. Look how close he came to the wall right there. These are cement walls. They don't have any extra room. They're using up every inch that there is, and they wish that it was a little wider sometimes.
And Kanan at this point still standing 16th fastest. Here is one of the great stories. This is Roberto Moreno. Moreno, a substitute driver for the injured Christian Fittipaldi with Carl Haas and Paul Newman, at this point is about to go second fastest. Michael Andretti had moved up to third fastest, so at this time it was Paul Tracy, followed by this man, Moreno, Andretti, Franchitti, and DeFerrin. But Moreno, a great story, Bobby.
Yes, he is a great story. He's a little tiny guy from Brazil. What we call him is a rental driver. He's the guy that comes in every time a driver gets something wrong with him and has to lay off for a few weeks. He comes in and subs for him, and by golly, he is so fast, and yet can't seem to get a regular ride.
Speaking of fast, he crossed at 1 minute. .976, his best time of the day, but at this point was still second to that amazing time turned in by Paul Tracy.
Just imagine that. Here's this rental driver. This guy that theoretically nobody wants. Used to drive for Rick Gallows many years ago. Got the best personality of anybody you could ever believe. He's just full of excitement all the time. That guy's showing everybody he's a good race driver. He very seldom makes mistakes. Using all the racetrack. You can see how nice a job he's doing.
Bobby, he was fourth in Toronto. He doesn't have a full-time ride. Where would you think he might end up next year?
He's got a couple of offers now. Everybody's starting to take him serious. He could end up with Pat Patrick. He could end up with Derek Walker next year. But there's a lot of the car owners taking a look at that little guy.
Derek Walker's lost his driver, Gilles DeFerrin. Gilles DeFerrin will join Greg Moore driving for Roger Penske. And as Moreno would cross the start-finish line for his second time, still not quick enough to catch Paul Tracy. So at this point, Paul Tracy was still the pole sitter, followed by Moreno. As he looked on, Michael Andretti had moved up to third. Franchitti had dropped down to fourth, and Gilles DeFerrin was running fifth.
Remember, there's only 1/10 of a second difference between those two. Now, that shows you how competitive this thing is getting to be today.
Speaking of Gilles DeFerrin, here's the driver from Sao Paulo, Brazil. He has 3 career victories, the latest this year in nearby Portland, Oregon, just south of here. Now, this was a big, big run for DeFerrin, who's leaving Derek Walker. He crosses the finish line. DeFerrin, at this point, moving into third place. So it was Tracy still on the pole, followed by Moreno, DeFerrin, Andretti, and Franchitti.
Now, there's a team. Derek Walker's team owns that car that lost his sponsor and lost his driver at the same time, and there's nothing wrong with that team. Derek Walker puts up a good car. Because remember, the drivers don't carry these cars, the cars carry the drivers.
Bobby, we will talk about this at length tomorrow during the race as he comes down to the end of the Quebec Street straightaway and into turn 5 and 6. What about the war between CART and the IndyCar Racing Series, the Indy Racing League, as we look at Juan Montoya? That is hurting open wheel racing. Do you see that getting settled?
It's definitely. You don't see it in Canada. The Canadians don't get involved in this war. But the United States, it's a terrible war that's been going on. And my predictions are it's going to semi-straighten out for this next year. I really honestly going to think, whoa, look at that. There's Montoya there. I really honestly going to think that you're going to see some announcements come up pretty quick. Maybe they won't be completely what we want to hear, but I think a year after next, you'll see these two organizations merge into one, and you'll see championship or open wheel car racing go back to its old days and start nipping at the stock cars again.
So you will see the Michael Andretti's and maybe the Juan Montoyas returning to the Indianapolis 500.
Yes, and everybody. The fans in the United States want to see that so bad, they're just crying for it. And I think even all of these car owners are getting humbled, and I think they're going to do it.
They're getting humbled because Toronto and Vancouver keep increasing the attendance. The television ratings are huge in this country, but it's a very different story in the United States. NASCAR is killing them.
Every year here in Canada, new records. Every race, every year, bigger crowds, new records for attendance. TV ratings are good. In the United States, they just go down.
Montoya into the start-finish area, and at this point, Montoya would go second. So now, Paul Tracy was still on the pole, but Montoya had gone second, Moreno third, DeFerrin fourth, Andretti fifth, Franchitti sixth, Carpentier seventh, Jones, P.J. Jones was running eighth, and there's Greg Moore, who was running ninth at this point.
Watch this guy right here. There's Montoya. His car is starting to quiver, starting to jump around on the racetrack.
He's on a fast lap.
He's on a fast lap, but you can watch the cars and tell when they're really on a fast lap. This is the guy right here, down in the end of the long straightaway, really close to that wall, almost in it there. Another real quick right-hand turn here, fast turn, straightaway, another fast one, a straightaway right here. Now that's going to be a left. It's going to come up into the chicane. Here's where you can really pick up a little bit of time if you get in and out of here just right. Up on the curb a little bit. This goes engine. Really good. Into the start-finish line where we are.
And as he crossed the start-finish line at this point, Juan Montoya moved into first place. So he was the pole sitter at this point. Paul Tracy there had fallen down to second. Back with more from Vancouver after this.
Has a 5.9-liter Magnum V8, the biggest engine in its class. Introducing the incredibly powerful Dodge Durango. Careful how you use it.
Hey! He's in the garage.
Hey!
If you're going to have a garage, have a garage. And if you're going to use an oil, use an oil. Pennzoil with Pure Base, specially formulated for stop-and-go driving.
Like what I've done with the place? Hey, what does this do? Well, that opens up the roof so I can airlift anything in or out of the garage.
Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
What are you looking for? A color bubble jet printer that neatly packages the fastest printing in its class? Separate ink tanks that can be replaced when each color runs out? And breakthrough technology that produces the sharpest images never seen before on this planet? Then you'd better get your hands on this one. The BJC 6000 from Canon.
Extra hungry? Get the big extra with the big beef patty. Hey, the whole meal's just $3.99.
The CBC McGill Concert Series begins its 21st season on Wednesday, September 15th. For ticket information, call the Pollock Hall box office at 398-4547.
Tuesday on Newswatch, a look back at one of the city's best-loved festivals.
Dan, where are you taking us?
The winners and losers from the Montreal World Film Festival.
Searching for something out of the ordinary?
Roll sound.
See two of TV's most original series starting Monday night on CBC.
This is like the TV event of the decade.
At 8, see 2 episodes of Don McKellar's Twitch City, followed at 9 by a full hour of Ken Finkelman's Foolish Heart. 3 straight nights.
Great.
2 hot shows.
Great.
Excited?
I just said great 2 times.
Starts Monday only on CBC.
And on this Saturday, we approach 5 local time, back live in Vancouver. That is Science World, adjacent to Falls Creek here in the downtown area. Let's go back to qualifying from earlier today. Here is Juan Montoya. At this point, there's Greg Moore. At this point, Montoya was the fastest, followed by Paul Tracy, Dario Franchitti, Moreno, DeFerrin, and Andretti Carpentier. P.J. Jones, a great story. We'll see him in just a minute, was 8th. And we're looking at Greg Moore, who at this point was running in 10th place.
Trying hard. You watch that car, his jumping out. But Greg, just, you can watch him. He's just not going as fast as he should. Watch him. He's down into turn 6, really wide getting in. Got a really good line through there. Now watch here. There's another right-hand turn here.
It's interesting with Greg Moore, Bobby, that he is from nearby Maple Ridge, British Columbia, but in 3 previous appearances here at the Molson Indy Vancouver, Greg Moore has yet to finish this event.
Well, sometimes, you know, things just don't work out that way, but you can't say the guy is slow. He's always fast. He's always a comer. We'll look for him no matter what his qualifying problems may be. We'll look for him to be very fast tomorrow in the race.
You surprised that Moore is joining Roger Penske next year?
No, not really. You know, a driver needs a change every now and then. No driver's going to stay one place very long like Rick Mears did with Penske. They just change every now and then. Sometimes it's just a good, healthy atmosphere to do that.
Juan Montoya, again at this point the leader. Moore, as he crossed the finish line, did not improve his standing, so Greg Moore was still running in 9th place at this point in qualifying from earlier today. P.J. Jones, a tremendous story. We'll see him in just a minute. This is Maurizio Gugelmin driving for Pac West, and Gugelmin at this point, Bobby, had the 7th fastest time. He has 1 career victory, and it came here in Vancouver in 1997.
Yes, he's been good all weekend, been pretty fast. In fact, both of the Blundell's car too, both the Pac West cars have been fast this weekend. Good race team right there. The Mercedes engine, I noticed the Mercedes mark on there, isn't quite as good as it should be right now. A lot of them are complaining about the lack of power.
Moore again crossing the start-finish line, and this time he had dropped down to 11th place as Blundell had moved up ahead of him. So Mark Blundell, you talked about how well he's been driving, at this point had dropped Greg Moore, the Maple Ridge native, down to 11th place.
Keep in mind, that's another Mercedes engine that we've been getting a lot of complaints about. Here's a Honda engine, and here's a fast man here. There's Dario Franchitti. And watch him. He's really working hard. You know, I kiddingly told you a little while ago, Brian, there isn't a place on this wall he hasn't rubbed while he's been here today.
Here's this Quebec Street straightaway, 190 miles per hour. More than 300 kilometers per hour. They've widened it, but as Bobby pointed out, and he ran off, I believe. He's off again. Franchitti at this point, only the 3rd fastest after turning in the fastest here yesterday.
You got to give that guy A for the efforts, because he has been off all over this racetrack. He's rubbed the walls all over this racetrack, and he's still trying to stay on the pole because he realizes how important it is to be on the pole here.
Well, Franchitti is the defending champion. Here's a driver that's won here 3 times. Al Unser Jr. has won 4. We look at Michael Andretti on board with Michael Andretti, a 3-time winner here in Vancouver. Now, at this point earlier today, Michael Andretti running in 6th place, Bobby. Take us into the finish line.
Well, Michael is fast. He's one of these guys, kind of like Greg Moore. He just lacks a little bit. Watch this little S turn now. This is the new deal into the start-finish line. Now, our booth is right here, right there is the start-finish line. Here's this number 1 turn, 20 feet wider now. There's a pit exit coming out to your right. Beautiful through there, big improvement. There's the turn where we just come in to where we are. Look at this, S turn, in, out, curve there, hit both curves. There's Montoya.
No, that's Jimmy Vassar, Bobby,
Vassar,
with the dark helmet. At this point, running only 16th, and that's a big story because Vassar was
There's
the
Frank Kitty
champion.
off again. There's Frank Kitty off again.
Vassar was the kart champion 3 years ago. He's running some tough times, and he might not be back with Ganassi Racing next year. This is Franchitti, as Bobby pointed out, missing yet again.
Here he comes in. Look at him. He's braking. He's too wide getting in. Almost spins it out. Now look at him. He's going to hit it. He doesn't. He just barely touches the tires. You know what? He's really lucky. You got to give that guy a medal for all this today that he's done.
We have worked many years together as Franchitti is followed by Gilles de Ferrin, who is running 7th at this point. We've worked all 9 previous races here in Vancouver, Bobby. I can't remember a qualifying session as exciting as this one from earlier today.
It was going on at every corner of this racetrack all the time, especially in this particular group, the second group, the fastest cars. I mean, there was action beyond belief. You and I could not cover all of it. It was happening so fast. Franchitti, for example, was off the road just about as much as he was on, but he never gave up.
Franchitti at this point, and there is P.J. Jones. A great story. P.J. Jones has just gone second fastest, and bang, that came after turning in the second fastest time.
But he didn't do it till he got his second fastest time. He went into the turn, and he didn't hit the tires, he hit the wall. That's the most expensive place to hit it. Now there's Tracy saying, my Lord.
He looks at the clock. There's just a couple of minutes to go, so this would in effect end qualifying.
That car right there almost hit PJ's hitting there. PJ can't move.
You know PJ's father well. You raced against him.
Yeah, that's Parnelli Jones, one of the finest race drivers that I ever knew in my life.
There's Montoya going across the start-finish line with the fastest time. So by going into the wall, P.J. Jones, who had the second fastest time, red flag is out. Drivers knew that this would be it for the session, but Paul Tracy being congratulated. He will start third fastest tomorrow, but here's the Jones accident one more time.
Now here's what happened. He got over the curb right there, got loose. Here he comes around, he bumps, he got loose there, bumped the inside wall there, right directly, barely touched the tires into the cement wall. Now, if he'd hit the tires a little sooner, I reckon it'd probably saved about $30,000 there.
Bobby, very quickly for viewers that don't follow racing, how long to fix that car? How long to get it race-worthy
Oh,
again?
he won't have bent the tub on that. It'll just be the outer stuff. They'll have that car fixed in 4 hours.
The tub, of course, being the cockpit where the driver sits. So this ended qualifying earlier today. A remarkable story. P.J. Jones, the son of the great Parnelli Jones, with the second fastest time. And here's Montoya, who will start on the pole tomorrow for the Molson Indy Vancouver.
Let's see if he can get around without getting off the track one more time. No, it was the most exciting qualifying deal I have seen in many and many a race. Just a super day to watch it qualify. It just shows you how important it is to start up near the front.
And starting from right at the front tomorrow will be this man, a six-time winner, the Colombian Juan Montoya. He has 2 victories in a row coming here to Vancouver, won the last race in Chicago. So Montoya sits on the pole, followed by young P.J. Jones. Paul Tracy, with a remarkable day after being disqualified yesterday, will start third. And look out, his teammates right next to him, Dario Franchitti. That is P.J. Jones.
You know, I was just going to mention about Montoya. Right there at Montoya, you know, I'll bet you all day long he hasn't had but 2 really good laps. One of them, though, of course, put him right on the pole.
Back in Vancouver after this. Never give me the board.
I am the Rocky Man. Molson X, today's beer since 1903.
Hey! He's in the garage.
Hey!
If you're going to have a garage, have a garage. And if you're going to use an oil, use an oil. Pennzoil with Pure Base, specially formulated for stop-and-go driving.
Like what I've done with the place? Hey, what does this do? Well, that opens up the roof so I can airlift anything in or out of the garage.
Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
Even though Dodge Ram is the bright red gold standard of pickup trucks, we're always improving things. We've made our available Magnum V8 engines even more powerful. We've improved the ergonomics of the already world-class interior. In all, we've made over 100 improvements, including this one. Our unique flow-through ventilation system. The Dodge Ram Quad Cab. The rules have changed.
Royal Bank.
Until September 20th, subscribe to any Fido monthly airtime package, and for just $50 after rebate, you'll receive a Nokia 5190 handset, plus a nifty Fido bag absolutely free. And that's no joke.
Molson Indy, Vancouver on CBC. Brought to you by Molson Export. X says it all since 1903. By Dodge, proud automotive sponsor of the Molson Indy, Vancouver. And by Pennzoil with Pure Base. Made for the way you drive. Stop. Go. Pennzoil.
And back live in Vancouver on this Saturday afternoon, Juan Montoya, the young sensation from South America, has the pole position for tomorrow's Molson Indy Vancouver. Now, Montoya has won 6 races. That breaks the rookie record of 5 set by Nigel Mansell. He also has 6 poles, and following his win on the pole today, he spoke with CBC's Greg Creamer.
Juan Montoya continues to rewrite the record books. Juan, you tie Alex Zanardi for most poles in a season by a rookie with 6, but you were in the backup car, the primary car, the backup car. It's been an eventful weekend for you.
Yeah, you know, we had a lot of fun with the engine, but still, I think Target, Honda, and Firestone did a great job, you know. We changed the engine. We still managed to keep the time from yesterday. We were a bit worried about what was going to happen in the session. But, you know, I think Morrison and all my guys did a great job, and they gave me a great car.
Certainly seemed to be a great car. Your impressions of this track, you seem to be very comfortable on it, even with the problems.
Yeah, you know, I like the track. Since I came here, I did some laps in the road car on Thursday, and the track was fine, and now it's just got even better.
Obviously, at Toronto, the last time you raced Canada, your big competition was Team Cool Green. They're close again, but P.J. Jones looks like he's going to be on the outside of the front row. A bit of an unknown commodity for you going into turn 1.
It'll be interesting. You know, I got the inside lane. That helps a lot. Just going to try to make a decent start and go from there.
All right, Juan, congratulations on a great effort once again. Love to have you racing in Canada.
Thank you very much.
With Paul Tracy, the top Canadian here in Vancouver in qualifying. Paul, a freaky Friday, a strange Saturday morning, and now this. How did you mentally prepare for this afternoon?
Well, it was frustrating. I couldn't get a clear lap in this session, and I was really frustrated with some of the tactics that the guys were using out there. But, you know, I don't think we're going to end up in the first top 5. I feel it's going to be a lot quicker. I know that we're capable of going a lot quicker, so, you know, we'll see where we end up.
What were the drivers doing out there to you?
Well, guys are just trying to race instead of trying to qualify. Instead of giving each other some space and trying to put a lap in, they're acting like it's a race out there. So, I don't know. It's just, that's what you get from being in the slow session. That's what the guys act like.
It's not familiar territory for you, but overall, how'd you feel about your drive?
Well, I felt it was okay. I mean, I didn't get the most out of the tires on the first run because of traffic. Had to wait till the second run. And then this last time out, you know, I had guys busy jerking around in front of me and couldn't get a lap in. So, you know, we'll see where we end up.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, to quote Paul Tracy, guys jerking around in front of me. Do you agree with that?
I totally disagree with him, and I don't think he has to make excuses like that. I think he did a good job today. He had a lot of problems. And so I think he works best when he has these problems. But no, there was no blocking that I saw today by anybody.
Bobby Unser's been very critical of Paul Tracy in the past. Today, though, he says he did an outstanding job. Let's have a look at the grid as the drivers will line up for the 10th Molson Indy Vancouver tomorrow. Montoya and P.J. Jones on the first row. And again, Jones is a huge surprise. You think he'll go into the corner first?
No, I think that Montoya is probably going to get there first, but it's going to be a battle. Well, I'll be watching.
The teammates, Tracy and Franchitti on row 2.
There's the place where we better watch the most, right there.
Mark Blundell and Moreno, the super sub on row 3. As we move to row 4, Gilles de Ferran. Michael Andretti's a 3-time winner here. I like Andretti tomorrow, you don't.
No, I do like him, but he's starting too far back. Remember, this track is very hard to pass on.
Greg Moore and Maurizio Gugelmin will start on row 5 as we move ahead to row 6. Patrick Carpentier drove very well today in the slow session. Max Pappas drives for Bobby Rahal. Ryan Hurt is the other Ray Hall driver, and Scott Pruitt driving for Albert Arciero. Arciero Wells Racing should do quite well here tomorrow.
Toyota engine real quick.
And most of the powerful engines are Honda. Kanan, a winner in Michigan. Jimmy Vasser, a former series champion. Cristiano D'Amata's the other Arciero Wells driver. Michel Jourdain Jr. We move on to row 10 tomorrow. Robbie Gordon, there's a name from the past that's
Back
fallen
further
on.
than I thought he would be. Not doing as good as I expected.
He's fallen on some tough times. Jan Magnussen's here. How about Richie Hearn in the Bud car?
Richie's had problems. Doesn't go fast enough.
What about Al Unser Jr., a four-time winner?
Going way slower than he should be going. He ought to be way up near the front.
What is the problem with Al Jr.?
Al Jr.'s got too many family problems. You know, you can talk about it. It's in all the newspapers. He needs to get his life just straightened out. Got the talent, just not utilizing it.
So marriage problems, personal problems affecting his driving. He's been fired by Roger Penske. Where does he go next year?
Well, not really fired by Penske. Just not going to renew his contract next year. Little Al probably is going to end up in IRL. I think that's where most of the talk going. A lot of people would think he'd go to NASCAR. He's not going to do that. He doesn't want to run 35 or 40 times a year. He's looking for less work.
Very quickly, how do you see this race developing tomorrow?
I think it's going to be a super race. The track is better than it was last year. We're going to see better racing, maybe not as much passing as we'd like, but we're going to see really good, hard racing from a good group of drivers, I promise you.
Well, just a reminder, we'll show you race time in just a minute. Prior to that, there is Major League Baseball coming up next. In fact, Chris Cuthbert and my other partner, John Cerruti, standing by down in Kansas City. Blue Jays in Kansas City up next, except in Montreal. Pat Henkin gets the start. And then, Bobby, you talked about tomorrow. You expect a good race. It'll be even more interesting if it's wet. We're on the air at 12:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern.
I just wanted to mention that we may have rain, but if we do, don't worry about it. We always see a good race if it's raining.
Rain is the great equalizer. For Bobby Unser, Tom Harrington, and Greg Creamer, I'm Brian Williams. So long from Vancouver. We'll see you with the Molson Indy tomorrow afternoon.
Molson Export 1999.